Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the CertiK Security Leaderboard Showcase. I'm your host, Jesse. As you know, in this showcase, I host a project for a live AMA where we discuss their work with CertiK, the Security Leaderboard, and we throw in some questions submitted by you, the viewers. Our goal is to raise the standard of security and transparency in the Web3 ecosystem. The Security Leaderboard, found at CertiK.com, is a free tool to help you safely navigate the blockchain world. Today's project is Gala Games. Gala Games is a blockchain gaming ecosystem, but we'll let today's guest talk a bit more about his project. Welcome, Jason, head of blockchain at Gala.
Hey, Jesse, how you doing today, man?
Doing very well. How are you?
I'm doing wonderfully, absolutely wonderfully. Beautiful
Looking
day.
forward. Yeah, looking forward to today's chat. So how about we just start with you giving an introduction to Gala Games for those who are not familiar with your platform?
Sure. So I would make this a little bit more about Gala and less about just games. Gala aims to be a leading force in Web3 across all entertainment verticals, and we have Gala Games, Gala Music, and Gala Film. All as part of the Gala platform, if you will. We started a few years back. We've got about 400 employees working internally across the entire ecosystem, a few thousand working externally as partner organizations and things like that, building games for the ecosystem. We currently have, I believe, 53 different games in the pipeline right now, and lots more coming there. And yeah, we work very closely with CertiK and few other people out there to make sure that security, which is something that is of utmost importance to us, is maintained. And recently, you guys just completed one more audit for us, so pretty excited about that.
Yes, we did. We were excited to be auditing another aspect of your protocol, and 4,000 is an impressive number. That's a lot of creators in your ecosystem. I watched the brand video that you guys put out, and yeah, you're right. More than games, music, entertainment, all sorts of things. And I mean, that's something that really fascinates me about Web3 is the intersection of all these different industries and how you're sort of bringing that to Web3 and putting some power back in the hands of creators and users. What's some of the benefits you see? How do you leverage the benefits of blockchain to promote these entertainment, gaming, music, all sorts of different platforms?
I mean, for me, the thing that's the most important is the concept of ownership, right? I mean, when I was a kid, okay, whether we look at film, music, or games, when you bought a game, you owned that game. You could go swap it with your buddy. When you bought a CD or I don't know how many of you of sort of my age group got into trouble as a youth doing the 12 CDs for 1 cent thing that everybody my age did at one point in time. But you owned that stuff, right? It was yours, and that's something that has been lost as sort of the digital world has grown and expanded. Everything's cloud-based now, right? You buy a song off of, pick a service. You don't really own it. You listen to it on Spotify, whatever. It's not really yours, though. The game and the game items aren't really yours. This is something that we're looking to change, and this is something we've been working on changing, and we believe that blockchain is an integral part of that. Now, unlike a lot of projects in the space, we're not just about blockchain. Blockchain is not the selling point. Amazing entertainment is. So you look at all of our games, we focus on having amazing games. You look at our music, we focus on bringing amazing new artists and some of the greats, including, Snoop, to the space. This is something that we focus on. We believe that blockchain will be an integral part of the tech stack for all of entertainment going forward into the future. And that's what we're about right here at Gala.
For sure. It's an important distinction. I think blockchain is the medium that you're using to build these platforms and everything, but it's not the product. You don't get people interested in blockchain technology itself so much as the things you can do with it. And yeah, you're right. It's the last 20 years, I guess, have been an interesting sort of transition from the physical world to the digital world. And once you were buying CDs where you own the CD, and then we sort of went to a streaming model where you don't actually really own anything. And I think the benefit of blockchain is bringing back that ownership in the digital world, in a world where ownership is not necessarily baked in. So yeah, it's a powerful sort of business or approach to entertainment, I think.
Yeah, it's absolutely critical for us. I mean, if you go back and you look at earlier gaming, right? When you wanted to play a game online, right? You would get together with your friends. You'd have a LAN party. You'd bring hot pockets because that's got to be a thing, right? And you'd all get together and you'd all plug your computers into one another, and you'd mess around with all of the different configurations pieces necessary to actually make that work. And now you just click, play online. That's what we believe blockchain should be. Blockchain should be an assumed and obvious part of all of these industries, not a selling point on the side.
For sure, and you can bring along the hot pockets to Web3 as well. So haven't lost
Sweet.
that. And the Monster. I saw you drinking a Monster. That's
Yeah, well,
another
this is a
integral
habit.
part.
I gotta break this, man. But sometimes making coffee is just is a bridge too far in the morning.
I mean, if it's working for you, no need to
It's
don't
not
fix
working
it.
for me. It's
Broke.
killing me. But you do what you can do. I have the coffee too. I have the
Oh, you're
cold
doubling up.
coffee. Yeah.
Impressive, impressive.
It's it's good times.
Let's so you mentioned you have quite a large community. How do
Yeah.
you collaborate with this community? How do you incentivize them to build and like just attract them to the ecosystem that you're building out?
Sure. So community is massively important for us. Um, and I think that in fact, right now on my screen, I also have the Gala Gold Discord community. I recommend that everyone join our Discord at galagames.chat. It's a fantastic place to hang out with all of us. But when it comes to bringing new developers to the community, what it really boils down to is being the player in the space that actually understands gaming. There are a lot of different platforms and people who are working on blockchain games out there, but very few of them come from the gaming world at the level that the people at Gala do. We have people from all of the major gaming companies that are here working at Gala, working on advancing our mission here, and that's what it boils down to: that experience and the ability to take someone from Web 2 and say, look, we recognize that this blockchain stuff, this can be a little bit scary. Let's walk you through it. And part of that sort of, this is where you guys come in. Part of that is giving people confidence that the systems that they're using are safe. And so that's one of the reasons we're very happy to work with you guys on all of this.
For sure, security is definitely important in building the trust in this sort of transitional phase between Web 2, Web
Yes.
3. Yeah, people need to know that the platforms they're using are secure, and there is real security built into blockchain. There's like
Yeah.
the concept of ownership of your own NFTs. I mean, that's sort of the origin story of Ethereum. Is
Right.
Vitalik was so upset with his World of Warcraft experience that he decided to build his own decentralized platform. So it goes right back to the beginning, really.
Yeah.
So could you talk a bit more about like what kind of you're sort of unleashing the creativity of all these different people all over the world, like
Mhm.
removing the barriers to entry that have existed in maybe a more hierarchical, company-focused sort of ecosystem. Do you find that there is a whole lot of talent out there just sort of waiting to get into this and jumping at the opportunity?
Massive amounts of talent. I mean, especially when you start to look at some of the other entertainment sort of venues. I mean, gaming is one thing, but um, gaming is an art form, but it is a collaborative art form. Okay, you don't have too many single game developers out there. Games come together, and you have 50 or 100 people that are creating and perfecting this piece of art that is a game. So we definitely have that, but when you have that many people together, you very naturally end up typically with some sort of company. There's some sort of corporate structure involved. There's a leadership, and things are a little bit different. But when you start looking at some of the other forms of entertainment out there, specifically music, it's one of my favorite areas to talk about in regards to this. You know, musicians. You can have a musician that is a solitary musician that makes amazing music all by themselves, and that is what we're working on serving. Bringing new artists to the space, bringing new artists in and helping them step around sort of the barriers that get thrown up by the industry. When you talk to artists that have been, in the publishing space for a long time, they talk about how terrible it is, how difficult it is to work with, record labels, how they sign something off and then, they never actually, get the full value of that thing. And, the record companies make all the money. And how, as a specific track, goes through the whole process, how, it gets shaved and split into little tiny pieces for all the different people that are involved. And a lot of this is because of sort of the age of that industry. The music industry was basically built in the early 1900s and hasn't changed much. The publishing industry, goes all the way back to, pressing, wax masters and things like that. And, making phonograph records. And, it's time for a little bit of modernization, and that's what we're bringing.
For sure, I'd agree on that. I think these entertainment industries, publishing, film, you've got the Hollywood model, and then you've got like the immense amounts of creativity
the
on
indie
TikTok.
model, yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the indie model as well, which can be a struggle, I think, for a lot of people to make a living off. Or you've got forms where they're just completely not monetized at all, and you really have to be doing it for the love of the art. But
Right.
being able to combine these two, giving the sort of financial incentives to these creative people so they can pursue they're not working a day job and sort of grinding away after hours on a passion project. I think that's a really powerful thing. So what are some of the benefits of the Gala ecosystem over perhaps more entrenched 20th century models of creating entertainment?
I mean, I would say that at the core of it all is this concept of ownership. If you're an artist, you should own your work. We believe that very fundamentally. If you're publishing, you should own that. And we believe that where we're going with this is a pretty, massive sort of self-service platform where people can come and bring whatever it is that they would like to bring to the world to this platform and, release it. We think that this is super important, and that ownership and that control are absolutely integral to the long-term success of, the creativity of that lives within the music. No, not the music industry. The creativity that lives within music creators,
Sure.
Oftentimes outside of the industry. I mean, you notice that like movies and music are all kind of sort of the same these days. They're very formulaic, and this is because record labels know what sells and they know how to, tweak it to be exactly the thing that people will spend money on. But you lose a lot of the creativity. You lose a lot of the small artists. You lose a lot of the people who, have some sort of philosophical stand that they want to make based on their art. And we want to be able to give them a platform for that.
For sure, yeah. I think when commercial pressures are the absolute number one most important thing, you do lose something. And
Yes.
Unleashing the creativity and allowing people on the fringe to have exactly the same opportunities as
Yep.
someone who's more in the mainstream. That's a powerful thing. I think that creates a much more interesting world, a more creative world, a world where people can find, what suits them. They can create what they like and explore what other people are doing, meet other people,
Yeah.
and yeah. I know. I think bringing creativity there's already a lot of creativity on the internet, but unleashing that is a super important thing.
Well, unleashing it and giving it a little bit more of a direct commercial pathway, I guess, that doesn't necessarily involve taking control.
Yeah.
Okay. Creating an opportunity for a degree of commercial success without putting it in a box. There are some of the artists that are on our platform are so profoundly talented, it blows my mind. We have one particular artist who I've never actually spoken to. At some point in time, I'm sure I will. I absolutely love her music. Her name's Monia Ashibi, and she produces the most incredible vocal. She has amazing voice, and I like the fact that with our ecosystem, we're able to take artists and bring them and help promote them and help them gain access to that degree of commercial success without us owning the whole thing. I think that's really important. And I think that you can look at this and you can also see the same thing in filmmaking and in games. And yeah, it's what's very important to us is that concept of freedom and ownership.
For sure. So what does that look like, on a concrete level for people who may not be familiar? Is it
Mhm.
royalties baked into NFTs, or I know that's been a bit of a debate on NFT platforms recently. So yeah, what are some concrete sort of examples of what this looks like?
That's such a gigantic can of worms, that royalties question.
It is.
Okay, so this is my perspective. This is not
Sure.
a company position, if you will. Um, I find what the NFT platforms have been doing to creators to be absolutely deplorable, because this is something that these creators have built their livelihood around. The ability to release something and have the world perceive it as having value, and then being able to uh, live off of that perception of value as it goes forward and spreads, right? I think that that's a critical thing, especially for small creators. I've seen a lot of amazing creators in the space, voicing their opinions on this specific issue, because they've essentially been not necessarily deplatformed, but defunded
Hmm.
by the decisions being made by these NFT sales platforms. And I don't like that, and I don't think it's right. Um, Now, what it means for us typically is that when somebody comes to the platform, they sell the NFTs and they keep the majority of the revenue from that sale. And there would obviously be other arrangements that are potentially made surrounding it for other things and whatnot. I know that we've had a few different events and brought artists in, and they've played sort of a more traditional concert type experience. So there's a lot of different ways that it can work out. But yeah, I think that it's really shameful what has sort of happened to the NFT sales platforms out there and what they've done to the artists, all based on pressures just from collectors, which
Right.
it just seems like it's the wrong way, guys. I feel like we can do better as an industry.
Right. At some point, you have to ask yourself if you're building something new or if you're copying the mistakes that you're trying to get away from. And I
Yeah,
think now is the time to really ask those questions and build a better model
yeah,
that really, yeah, gives power back to the creators. And yeah, the royalties thing, huge can of worms, big debate. But
it
the
is.
the
It's
topic
and
of
it's sad that
ownership,
it is, though.
yeah, it's good that we're having it. I think it's good that we're having it, but it remains to be seen how it will play out. But it's good to hear that you take a very creative focused approach, and I mean
Yeah.
that's how you keep people creating. I mean, if you disincentivize that, then we lose entertainment, we lose
Well,
games, we lose film.
you end up with creators being forced to make the lifetime value of whatever the thing is out of the initial sale.
Right.
So people who like low priced mints for NFT art and things like that. If you want a low priced NFT art mint, okay, there has to be that continued revenue that comes back to the creator, or you don't get that at all. There's zero reason why they should ever have a low priced mint, because they no longer get anything out of it. And I think that's really sad. There's some NFT artists that I know personally that this is really impacting in a negative way.
Yeah, I think the power of like ownership I mean, that comes, licensing down the line in terms of intellectual property and those sorts of things. Yeah, it's a tough balance because you want you want entertainment to have as wide a reach as possible, but you want to protect the people who are putting in the work to make it happen and not,
Right.
not looking after the collectors who are looking to make a buck off it. I think
Right.
art has such a greater value than you can put a dollar value on. So yeah, keeping that alive is super important.
Agreed.
So obviously NFTs are an integral part of the platform. What are some of the other components that really contribute to the strength of the platform overall, would you say?
I think that one of the biggest things, and I'm going to just focus specifically on games here for a second. I think one of the biggest things that we bring to the space is the fact that uh, when you want to have a real blockchain game, we are one of the few places where you can actually have that real blockchain game and you can play that real blockchain game. So many of the blockchain games in the space, and this is getting somewhat better now, but it's still not, fully straightened out yet. But um, for the longest time, most of the blockchain games in the space were really just, financial simulations with stickers
Sure.
attached. And that's not a game. That's not a game. And even if you look at it from like a play to earn perspective, you know, if you're playing a game specifically because you earn, and it's like that's the only reason that you play, then that's a terrible game.
It's a job.
And it's a job, exactly. And so what you want is you want to have real games that people come and play that are fun, that people are going to play, regardless of whether they get anything out of it or not. Because what they get out of it is fun, and that's why you're supposed to play games. So that's something that we've been focusing a lot on is bringing the expertise necessary to help bring amazing AAA style games to the Web3 space, and that's what you're seeing. I mean, if you look at some of our games, they're absolutely incredible. Last Expedition looks gorgeous. UE5, absolutely killer. PvP, PvE, super super fun game. That's playable. Playtest is coming up pretty soon for the whole community, so I'm looking forward to that. Just killer game though, and it's made by some of the same guys that made Halo Infinite and the last Call of Duty. Totally produced in-house at Gala, and it's better than anything I've seen in the space, and things like that really excite me. Mirandus also, MMORPG, totally killer. Spider Tanks, Townstar, so many different games that are with us right now that I'm very excited about it.
Top tier talent. I mean, you've got some of
Oh
the
yeah,
greatest.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look at it this way, like Townstar. Okay, Townstar is run by Mark Skaggs. Okay, Mark Skaggs is literally the guy who created Farmville. And when you talk to him, when you have a Zoom call with him, in the background on the table behind his desk are all of his, video game creator of the year awards and things like that for the games that he's, worked on creating. Farmville, Command and Conquer Generals, like these are things that he's created, and it's these decades of expertise that he brings to the space that are really really set us apart from anyone else, I think.
I was thinking about that. I was thinking about Farmville when I was doing some research on your platform and just playing that, 10, 12, however many years ago. And
So long ago. Well, I
yeah,
mean, so there's a really interesting tie-in between Farmville, okay, and other people who are involved in our company. Our CEO Eric Schiermeyer is one of the co-founders of Zynga,
hmm,
and obviously gaming giant in its own right. And Farmville was one of the main things that helped Zynga go viral across Facebook. So anyone of a certain age will remember those wandering cows or the nightmares of notifications that you would get on Facebook when your friends would be like playing Farmville, and it's like, John is, harvesting some wheat,
yeah.
do you want to help? That sort of stuff. Like all of this dovetails together. It's a really beautiful growth that is happening here in the space.
Yeah, I guess Facebook was the platform that these games use to achieve such success, and perhaps blockchain can be the platform that the next generation of games uses to achieve similar, greater success.
I would also say that these games are one of the things that allowed Facebook to achieve such great success
That's a
too.
good point. That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, poking
I
people
mean,
back in 2009
how
on Facebook gets a bit old.
exactly, right? How many people joined Facebook because of a wandering cow? You know,
I'd like to hear that figure. I would like to know. So, I mean,
Probably never
looking
know.
ahead, like, what are you most excited about? Say 5 to 10 years. Obviously, this is a pretty new industry that you're involved in. A lot of growing pains, so to speak.
Tremendous
What?
numbers of growing pains. It's a difficult industry to be in. And this is one of the things that I try to convey to people all the time. People don't realize exactly how challenging it is to operate within this space. Just because there's so much uncertainty, so much there's so much that goes on in the space in general that is suboptimal.
Mhm.
And you also have the space. And somebody mentioned in Discord the other day that we should get rid of the term the space. I totally agree, but I also don't have anything else to replace it with. But this industry is pretty steadily under attack
Yes.
from a PR and regulatory perspective. And I think that that's gone on for a long time. I mean, even the name cryptocurrency, being applied to Bitcoin in the early days is profoundly weird to me because there's nothing about it that is crypto. It's not like, you go read the original white paper and you will not find anything about anonymous transactions. Um, so basically, though, there's so many challenges in the space. I am so excited about overcoming those and being able to get to the point of actual mass adoption, because that's where this is really going to take off. And we're getting really close right now. We're at Gala, we're pushing really hard to expand into the mobile space. Um, and that's a main point of our strategy going forward. Because with mobile gamers, it's much easier to get a mobile gamer to go a blockchain route than it is to take a Web 2 PC gamer
Mhm.
and move in that direction. And part of that is because Web 2 PC gamers, you could almost say that the Web 2 games industry has a problem with blockchain as a whole,
Yes.
and that comes across in a lot of their publications. I think that in the next few years, that is going to be overcome because they will have figured out how to integrate it themselves. And then, you're already seeing parts of that with like Ubisoft coming out and doing NFT things here and there. I think you're going to see that more and more going forward. And once they start doing it, then the publications are going to change their perspective on it, and then things open up a lot.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of challenges that, I mean, yeah, you're not a cryptocurrency platform at all. You're a gaming
Yeah,
platform or
we're a gaming
entertainment
platform.
platform, but you get tarred with the same brush when the
Yep.
government comes out and attacks crypto. So yeah, I mean, it's not easy, but I think that, to me at least, and hopefully to you as well, it seems like adoption is growing, real
It
things
is.
are being built, and it's sort of
Yes.
inevitable, but it's there's a hump to crest before we.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Cool. Well, this has been a great discussion. Let's turn a little bit to security.
Sure.
So, what are some of the major security considerations that you keep in mind when you're designing platforms or attracting new users? Yeah.
One of the biggest things, and this is a point that's very relevant given what you guys just audited, which I don't think we're going to talk about too much here, but I'll touch on parts of it. Um, One of the things that we find is that most of the really big hacks that have taken place in the space, most of the really big hacks that have taken place typically have something to do with a bridge.
Yes.
So you end up with a whole bunch of tokens being held in some place, and it's kind of like a bank, right? You put enough value in one place. Eventually someone's going to try to figure out a way to steal it. So for us, all of our bridges function on a burn and mint process. So there is never this
Hmm.
is a pile of tokens sitting here that someone can come and vacuum out. um, and that's a very important thing for us to focus on. Looking at platform security, identity, making sure that the right people have access to the right things. These are all relevant pieces, and for us, it's something that we dig in a tremendous amount on in all of our development. And obviously we work very closely with people like you guys to make sure that obviously you build things in a way that you think is the absolute best way, but sometimes it takes another pair of eyes to make sure that stuff is as solid as you think it is, and that's what you guys do.
For sure. I think it's important to have those specialities. You know, you guys are focusing on the entertainment and everything, and then
Right.
we're more than happy to partner with you and focus on the security side of things, which is what we do best. And you're right that, yeah, bridges. It's great that you recognize the sort of ongoing problem that we're having there, where the
Yeah.
largest three
Constantly.
hacks of last year, more than $1 billion total, all bridges. So
Yep.
it's tough, but recognizing the problem is the first step to addressing it. Getting audited is the second step, and just spreading the word, I think, is so important. And
Yeah, we actually have if I remember correctly, we have an ongoing like auditing pipeline with you guys where we send you guys a lot of different things. You know, and this is important to us, guys. I mean, we believe that security and transparency, these are things that are absolutely critical to the growth of this industry. And working with our partners in that regard is extremely important and a huge priority for us.
for sure, I think people might be interested in coming over to Web3, but if they see the, you know, all the hacks that are going on, it's a big disincentive. So overcoming that is
Yeah.
such an important step. So great to hear that security is a top priority for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're nearly out of time, but I'll just get to a couple audience
Sure.
submissions. So you mentioned a couple of the games that
Yeah.
that you're super proud of. We got a question. What are some of the most popular games on the Gala Games platform, and what makes them stand out from other blockchain-based games?
Well, the first thing is that they're games. Most blockchain-based games still, to this day, aren't really games. Now, again, I will say that's getting much better. I'm seeing some very, very good looking games crossing my desk that are being sent to me by, you know, other people. Like, hey, check this out. Most of them aren't live yet, though. So that's one thing. Right now, we have 2 games that are fully live on the platform, and that is Townstar and Spider Tanks. These are the most popular games, but I think that to a large extent they're the most popular games because they're the ones that are out there. We
Right.
also have other games that are in various beta and alpha testing phases that are extremely popular on the platform. Superior is a great example of this, and Superior is kind of unique because we even did that in 2 SKUs. So there's a Web3 SKU and a Web2 SKU, so you can actually go and play a non-blockchain version on Steam, and I highly recommend you check that out because it is a lot of fun. So, you know, those are the most popular games on the platform. But I think that, you know, in some of these other ones, Mirandus, Last Expedition, The Walking Dead, Empires, all of these, when these start to hit, I think you're going to see some much higher player numbers because they're insanely fun.
Lots to look forward to.
Yeah.
Last question. So, how does the Galaverse differ from other virtual worlds and gaming universes? And maybe you could comment more broadly on what you see, you know, the
Sure.
metaverse more generally in the future, or if you're bullish or bearish on the metaverse.
This is one of those things. People always get angry at me when I answer this question. Um, I think that the concept of metaverse in general, as it is understood by people today, is more a product of COVID than it is a thing that we're actually building towards. I think the idea that you could spend your entire life online in a virtual world is much more appealing when you can't leave your apartment.
Yes.
So that's one thing. Now, that doesn't mean I don't believe in the concept of a metaverse. I do. I think that you know, ultimately in the long run, we will see like a Neil Stephenson style metaverse get created. But I don't think that the foundations of that have even remotely been laid right now. I think that everything that's out there that is called a metaverse would really be a small localized miniverse, if you will. I think, you know, our metaverse, quote unquote, is Voxverse, and it's based on around the Vox project, VOX. Everyone should take a look at it. Super fun, but it's very much, you know, it's still its own thing. You know, it's not something where, you know, any random person can bring any random thing in, because that's not how games and, you know, little universes are created.
Right.
So I think that in order to have that true open permanent metaverse, I think we're not quite there yet. I think that we will get there as a sort of a culture, but I think it's going to be in a very, very different way than you currently see.
Which is probably a good thing. I'm not sure we really want to be living in a Ready Player One style dystopia anytime soon.
I mean, no, yeah, that's a whole other thing. Read the book, guys. If you haven't read the Ready Player One book, read the first book and then stop.
I will actually. I appreciate
Don't read the second one. Don't. The first one's amazing though. It's amazing, and I think that one of the biggest problems with metaverse becomes really clear if you read the book and then you watch the movie. You can see the differences between the two. I'll give you a hint. It has to do with intellectual property.
Got it. I have an inkling, but
read and then watch, and you'll see what I mean.
Lots to ponder. Thank you for coming on the show today,
pleasure.
Jason. I'm super excited about the future of entertainment, Web3, the intersection of all these super exciting creative industries, and I'm sure we'll see things we can't even imagine at the moment. These combinations and the creativity that people can bring. So I'm very glad that there are teams working on it, teams like yours working on this, and yeah, thank you again for your time. It's been a great discussion.
Thanks, guys.